When we think about death, we begin to see life clearly, a narration script for quiet reflection. There is something most of us learn to do very early in life. We learn to look away, not from anything outside of us, not from the world, but from a certain thought, a certain awareness that sits at the edge of everything we do, everything we feel, everything we hope for. We learn, almost without realizing it, to turn our eyes away from the simple fact that one day this life will end. It is not a strange thing to do. It is, in many ways, a very human thing. We are built for living. We are drawn toward the next meal, the next conversation, the next morning. Our minds are restless and forward-moving. And so, we fill our days. We make plans. We worry about small things. We argue about things that will not matter in 10 years. We stay busy because busyness feels like the opposite of that quiet, uncomfortable truth we do not want to face. But every so often, life does not let us look away. Perhaps it comes when someone we love grows ill, or when we ourselves feel the bodies slowing, growing quieter, less certain than it used to be. Perhaps it comes late at night, in the stillness before sleep, when the mind stops its rushing and a question rises, soft and insistent, like a candle flame in a dark room. How much time is left? And in that moment, something shifts. Not with fear, necessarily. Not always. Sometimes it is something else entirely. Something almost like relief, as if a great deal of noise has finally gone quiet and we can hear, perhaps for the first time in a long while, what actually matters. This is what I want to speak with you about today. Not about death as an ending to be dreaded, but about what thinking of death, really thinking of it, honestly and gently, can teach us about the life we are still living. About how awareness of our own mortality, far from being something to push away, can become one of the most clarifying forces we will ever know. So let us sit together a moment, quietly, without hurry. There is an old idea that has lived in the hearts of thoughtful people across many centuries and many cultures. It is the idea that a person who truly understands they will die is a person who truly begins to live. This sounds simple, perhaps even obvious, and yet most of us spend the better part of our lives acting as though we will not die. Not consciously, of course. We know the fact. We have attended funerals. We have watched seasons pass and faces age. We know, in the part of the mind that holds knowledge, that our time is limited. But knowing a thing and living as though it is true are very different matters. Think for a moment of how you lived when you were younger. Think of the things that took up your worry, your energy, your care, the frustrations that felt enormous, the slights that kept you awake, the competitions you entered, the approval you sought, the plans that stretched years into the future as though the future were guaranteed, as though tomorrow were simply waiting there, patient and reliable, ready to receive whatever you postponed today. There is nothing wrong in any of this. It is the natural texture of a life lived forward, lived with hope, lived in the ordinary human assumption that there will always be more time. But when we stand closer to the end of things, whether that end feels near or far, something remarkable happens to the way we see. The unnecessary falls away. The small irritations that once felt important become somehow genuinely small. And the things we perhaps took for granted, the warmth of a hand, the color of a garden in morning light, the sound of a familiar voice, these things become vivid in a way they perhaps were not before. This is not tragedy. This is wisdom. And it is available to all of us if we are willing to let the awareness of our ending sit beside us, quietly, as a companion rather than an enemy. Let me speak for a moment about time. When we are young, time feels almost infinite. Summer stretches endlessly. Years seem to accumulate slowly, like coins dropped one by one into a jar. We make decisions carelessly, knowing there will be time to correct them. We postpone conversations we mean to have. We put off the visit to someone we love. We delay the kindness we intended to show. We hold back the words that might heal something, telling ourselves there is no rush, that we will say it later, that the right moment will come. And here is the strange and sorrowful thing. The right moment does come. It comes again and again. But we have grown so accustomed to postponing that we postpone even when the moment is standing directly before us, patient and open, asking only for our attention. There is a particular kind of grief that comes not from losing something suddenly, but from realizing, slowly, that you allowed something to slip away through inattention. That you had what you needed right there in front of you, and you were too busy, too distracted, too certain it would still be there tomorrow. This grief is one of the most common griefs of a long life. The things left unsaid, the hours not given, the love expressed with an awkward restraint that was never meant to be permanent, only temporary, until the right moment arrived. When we become aware of our mortality, truly aware, we become less willing to postpone. Not in a panicked way, not in a desperate scramble to do everything at once, but in a quieter, more deliberate way. We begin to understand that the present moment is not merely a bridge to some better future moment. It is itself the thing. It is where life actually lives. This is a gift that only the awareness of ending can give us. I want to speak now about the things we chase. There is a powerful current in human life. It pulls us toward achievement, toward accumulation, toward status and recognition. It tells us that worth is something we must earn, that security is something we must build, that the measure of a life is what it produced, what it gathered, how it was regarded by others. And there is something in this that is not entirely wrong. We are creatures who build and create. We find meaning in work done well. We feel genuine satisfaction in providing for those we love, in leaving something behind, in contributing to something larger than ourselves. But the current has a way of pulling harder than it should, of convincing us that the achievement, the title, the accumulation is the end in itself rather than a means to something deeper. And so we work longer than we need to. We sacrifice evenings with our children for one more hour at the desk. We cancel dinners with old friends because something at work needs attention. We defer the quiet walk, the afternoon of reading, the unscheduled hour in the garden, because those things feel indulgent compared to what we imagine we should be doing. And then something happens. Perhaps it is illness. Perhaps it is the loss of someone close. Perhaps it is simply a birthday that carries a certain weight, or a quiet evening when the house is still and the mind becomes honest. And in that moment, we ask ourselves plainly, what was all of that for? Not bitterly, not with regret sharp as a knife, but with a soft and searching honesty. Was the second car necessary? Was the promotion worth what it cost? Was the argument won, and does its winning seem important now? I have known people who in the final chapters of their lives spoke about these things with a kind of clear-eyed peace. What they described as most valuable were almost never the accomplishments listed in a resume or the possessions inventoried in a will. They spoke of mornings, of the feeling of being truly known by another person, of laughter that caught them by surprise, of having been present, really present, for someone who needed them, of having said the thing that needed to be said, and having meant it. This is what the awareness of mortality clarifies. It is a great and gentle sorting. It takes the heap of what we have been living for and separates, slowly and honestly, what mattered from what merely seemed to matter. Now I want to speak carefully about regret, because regret is a complicated thing. There is a kind of regret that does harm. It is the regret that keeps a person locked in the past, replaying what cannot be changed, punishing themselves for choices that were made in different circumstances with different knowledge. This kind of regret is not useful. It does not restore what was lost. It only steals what remains. But there is another kind of regret that is more like a teacher. It speaks quietly and without cruelty. It says, "You see now what mattered. You see now what you would have done differently. And although the past is fixed, you are still here. There is still time, even if less than there was, to live in a way that honors what you now understand." This is not a small thing. This is, in fact, one of the most generous gifts that late life can bring. The clarity that was not available when you were moving too fast, carrying too much, looking too far ahead. The clarity that comes when life has stripped away the unnecessary and what remains is plainly visible. Some people carry this clarity lightly, with a kind of grace. They move through their later years with a gentleness that younger people sometimes mistake for tiredness. But it is not tiredness. It is something more like peace, a deep and honest settling into what is real. They are patient in a way they were not before, not because they have given up, but because they have given up the need to rush. They are present in a way that changes the quality of every conversation. When someone like this listens to you, you feel it. You feel that you are actually being heard, not merely waited out. This is what the long encounter with mortality produces, when it is met honestly, not defeat, not despair, but a quietness of spirit that many spend an entire life searching for without finding it, because they have not yet stopped long enough to let it arrive. And now, I want to stop here for a moment, to ask you to be very quiet. Think of someone you love, someone who has been part of your life so long that they have become part of the texture of ordinary days. Someone whose voice you know so well, you can hear it in your mind right now without trying. Think of what it would mean to lose them, not as a morbid exercise, but as a way of seeing them freshly, as a way of feeling right now, in this present moment, what their presence actually means. There is something extraordinary that happens when we do this honestly, when we allow ourselves to feel, just for a moment, the preciousness of what we have. The world does not change. The person is still there. The day continues, but our experience of it shifts entirely. The meal you share together becomes something more than a meal. The walk you take becomes something sacred. The silence between two people who have known each other for decades becomes rich instead of empty. It becomes a kind of language all its own. This is what the poets and the sages and the old and the wise have been trying to tell us in every century and in every language, since human beings first looked at the sky and wondered how long they had beneath it. Love what you have while you have it. Not feverishly, not with a desperate clinging that turns love into anxiety, but with a deep and grateful attention, with the understanding that this, right now, is the life. Not a rehearsal for it, not a waiting room outside of it. This, the afternoon light coming through the window, the warmth of the tea in your hands, the sound of someone you love moving through a nearby room. These things are not small. They are not minor background details. They are the whole thing. They are, when you look at them honestly, almost unbearably beautiful. There is a thought that has come to me many times, and I believe it is one of the truest things I know. Without an ending, nothing would have meaning. Think of a story with no conclusion, a melody that never resolves, a journey with no destination. These things would not feel rich and full. They would feel shapeless. They would feel as if they were not really happening, as if they had not really begun. It is the ending that gives shape to what came before. It is the limit that makes the thing inside the limit precious. A life that lasted forever would not be a larger life. it would be a formless one. The specific weight of a particular afternoon, the way certain light falls on a particular face, the feeling of being in a specific room at a specific hour of a specific day, these things have their beauty precisely because they are temporary, because they cannot be retrieved once they have passed, because they are real in the way that only finite things can be real. This is not a small comfort offered to make us feel better about something painful. This is, I believe, a deep and genuine truth. Mortality is not the enemy of meaning, it is the source of it. When we understand this, the awareness of death stops feeling like a threat. It begins to feel instead like a kind of permission. Permission to take this day seriously, permission to let this conversation matter, permission to stop waiting for life to become what it already is. Let me speak now about kindness. Of all the things that seem to remain at the end of a long life, kindness is among the most enduring. Not grand gestures, though those have their place, but the small, daily, almost invisible kindnesses that stitch a life together. The patience offered when patience did not come easily. The words spoken in a moment of someone else's difficulty. The presence given when presence was all that was needed. I have noticed something about people who have lived long and lived honestly. They are almost always kind. Not soft, necessarily. Not without opinion or conviction. But kind in the sense that they have stopped needing to diminish others in order to feel worthy themselves. They have, somewhere along the way, made peace with their own insufficiency and their own goodness both. And this peace makes them gentle in a way that requires no effort. This is not an accident. It comes from having seen enough of life to know that every person is carrying something. That behind every difficult face is a difficult story. That the sharp word spoken in frustration almost always has its roots in something private and painful that has nothing to do with the person on the receiving end. When we understand that our time is limited and that the time of every person we encounter is also limited, something softens. We become less interested in being right and more interested in being kind. We become less concerned with protecting our position and more concerned with whether the person in front of us is all right. This is one of the quiet gifts of a life that has been lived close to loss. It teaches us, over and over, that people matter more than positions, that a moment of genuine warmth is worth more than any argument won. I want to speak now about ordinary days, because I think we have, many of us, a habit of dividing our lives into the extraordinary and the ordinary, the important days and the unimportant ones, the events that count and the long stretches between events that we think of as merely passing time. A birthday is significant, a holiday is significant, a graduation, a wedding, a great journey. These are the days we photograph and frame and remember. But the afternoon in the kitchen with someone you love, chopping vegetables and talking about nothing in particular. The evening when the garden was at its best and you happened to be sitting in it. The morning when the light was exactly right and the coffee was exactly right and no one needed anything, and you felt for just a moment completely at peace. These are the days that, when we look back from a great distance, we realize were the days. Not the events, not the occasions, but the quiet accumulation of ordinary hours lived with presence and warmth and attention. There is a kind of tragedy in not seeing this until the ordinary days have mostly passed. But there is also a kind of grace in seeing it now, even late. Because however many ordinary days remain, they are yours. And knowing what they are worth changes everything about how you inhabit them. Wash the dish carefully. Look at the tree in the yard. Call the person you have been meaning to call. Sit in the chair by the window and let the afternoon light fall on you without needing it to be anything other than what it is. This is not a small life. This is, in fact, the largest life there is. Somewhere in the long middle of every human life, there comes a moment of reckoning, not always dramatic, not always sharp, but real. It is the moment when we understand, truly understand, that we are not permanent, that the particular arrangement of memory and feeling and love and fear that is us, that is I, will one day cease to be, that the world will continue without us as it continued before us, and that this is not wrong. It is simply true. This moment frightens some people terribly. They turn away from it with everything they have. They fill every silence, rush from one distraction to the next, refuse to sit still with the thought. But for those who do not turn away, for those who sit with it honestly and let it settle, something remarkable often follows. A kind of freedom. The endless comparisons with others lose their grip. The need to be seen and admired grows quieter. The petty competitions, the scorekeeping, the long-held grievances, they begin to seem almost absurd against the backdrop of the larger truth. What is left when all of that falls away is something very simple. A person, a life, a body that has carried you this far, relationships that have shaped you more than anything else ever could, a world that is genuinely and extraordinarily beautiful, even on its most difficult days. There is a particular kind of gratitude that is only available to those who have looked clearly at their own mortality. It is not the gratitude of someone who has been given a gift they do not deserve. It is deeper than that. It is the gratitude of someone who suddenly sees what was always there, who has been eating at a table of abundance and only now, perhaps late, is actually tasting the food. I want to speak for a moment about the people who came before us. Every one of us was given our life by someone. We came into the world helpless and were held. We were fed and watched over and spoken to with a tenderness that asked nothing in return. We were taught imperfectly and lovingly by people who were themselves imperfect and loved. Those people are, many of them, gone now, or growing older as we are, or changed in ways that time brings to every person, but their love has not gone anywhere. It lives in the way we learn to sit at a table, in the recipes we make without thinking, in the phrases we use without remembering where we first heard them, in the way we hold a child, or comfort a friend, or face a difficult morning. We are, all of us, continuations of something that came before us. And we will become, in time, part of what continues after us. Not as monuments, not as famous names, but in the small and specific and irreplaceable ways that love moves through time. This thought is one of the most comforting ones I know. It means that nothing genuinely given, no real act of love or kindness or care, is ever entirely lost. It finds its way forward. It becomes part of the fabric of lives that will never know your name, but will carry, without knowing it, something that once lived in you. This is not a small legacy. This is perhaps the only one that truly matters. As we come nearer to the end of this quiet time together, I want to speak about peace. Not the peace of indifference, not the peace of someone who has stopped caring, but the peace of someone who has decided, consciously or gradually, to stop fighting the nature of things, who has accepted, not with resignation, but with genuine and hard-won understanding, that life has the shape it has, that it ends, that this ending does not diminish what came before, that love is real and loss is real, and both of these can be true at once. This kind of peace is not passive. It does not mean withdrawing from life. It means inhabiting life more fully, because you are no longer spending your energy fighting against what cannot be changed. The people I have seen live this way carry something rare. They are not in a hurry. They are not anxious to make an impression. They are not performing for anyone. They simply are what they are, with a settledness that makes everyone around them feel for a moment that they too could stop rushing. There is more room in a quiet life than in a busy one. More room for love, more room for beauty, more room to notice what is actually here. You have lived a long time. You have seen a great deal. You have loved people and lost them, and carried both the love and the loss together, which is one of the hardest and most human things a person can do. You know things that cannot be learned from books. Things about how quickly morning becomes evening, about how a child's face changes before you have finished memorizing it, about how certain seasons come and go and come again, and how this repetition is both comforting and quietly astonishing. You know what it is to wait for something and to receive it, to wait for something and not to receive it. You know what disappointment feels like when it has had time to settle, and how it almost always carries inside it something instructive, something that, in time, you would not trade. You know the weight of a hand held in a moment of difficulty, the particular silence of sitting with someone who is suffering, when there are no words that are adequate, and yet the being there means everything. You know that presence is its own kind of language. And you know, I think, in the way that long experience teaches, that most of what we worried about did not deserve the worry, that most of what we feared either never arrived or arrived and was survived, that the things that actually broke us open were rarely the things we anticipated, and that being broken open, as terrible as it felt, was often the beginning of something deeper and more real than what had been there before. This is not a life that needs to be larger to be meaningful. This is already a life of extraordinary depth. The light is changing. The afternoon is becoming evening, as it always does, as it always will. And there is something good in that, something trustworthy. The world turns, seasons move, people come into our lives and change them and leave traces that do not go away. And somewhere in the middle of all of this, a person lives, loves some people, does some work, makes some mistakes, is kind when they manage it, and falls short sometimes and tries again. And that is enough, more than enough. If there is one thing I would ask you to carry from this quiet hour together, it is simply this. Let the knowledge of your mortality be not a shadow over your life, but a light upon it. Let it show you, clearly and gently, what deserves your love and your attention and your time. The people near you, the small pleasures of an ordinary day, the unscheduled hour in the garden, the conversation that goes on longer than expected because both of you are enjoying it, the cup of tea that is exactly right, the morning that is just beginning. These are not the background of your life. These are not the pauses between the important parts. These are the important parts. You are here. You are breathing. You are reading or listening, which means your mind is alive and curious and open. And somewhere nearby, perhaps very near, is something or someone that you love. That is, in the end, what all of us are looking for. And you already have it. Let yourself know that. Let that knowledge settle in you gently, the way the last light of a good day settles over a quiet field. You are, and have been, part of something beautiful. And that does not end.